Hey guys, welcome to a replay broadcast here brought to you by Doom Esports and Rifkin. If you guys want to learn more about us or follow us, we'll have our Twitter descriptions in the video info below. But getting into this match, guys, spawning here in the lower right corner of Belshir Vestige. It is the Blue Zerg. It is Starcraft Ascension's own ZvZ.
And in the upper left-hand corner, in the red trunks, the Zerg player from the team Evil Geniuses, Stephano.
Yeah, guys, I wanted to just throw out there real quick. I was a little skeptic when I was given this replay at first. I was like, oh, this probably isn't the real Stephano. He's not in the EG clan. You know, anyone could have this name. But no, this is. I did double checking. I did my due diligence. This is Stephano. So I think we're in for a great game.
Yeah, ZvZ, Belshir, Vestige. Seen a bunch of Kespa matches on here, but considering ZvZ from Team SCA, somewhat of a crazy man, going for a spawning pool here right off the bat.
Yeah, going for a 10
supply.
Yes. And this isn't a gas. Like, okay, here's the thing. Like, if you go gas first, this is kind of super duper all in. If you go for just the spawning pool, you're actually okay to recover out of this. 6 lings, okay, they don't do a lot of damage. You can still build a hatch and get a queen afterwards. We even see extraction tricks coming out just to get those extra larvae out. Not a bad choice.
Yep, so, there's definitely going to be some early aggression here on this map, but I'm very curious to see if he's able to pull anything off, because Stephano actually is going to be going for a hatch first, it looks like. Oh man, this is looking kind of bad.
Well, the thing is, this is such a long, this is a big map. I mean, there's rocks in the middle. They don't really delay that much, but I mean, it's going to take a long time for those Zerglings to get from ZvZ's base to Stephano's. And the thing is, a lot of people look at this and they go, oh my god, build order lost, Stephano loses. I'm going to say no to that right now, because I've seen so many players recover from this. Having that hatchery, having reinforcements come from behind when you're busy drone drilling at the main, or even having another base to retreat your drones to, can make the biggest difference in the world.
Yeah, and you also have to think about the macroeconomic advantages that Stephano will potentially have here if he's able to hold this off. Spawning pool is on the way. He's going to be taking his gas as well, so likely going to be going for some type of early just ling, at least lings with perhaps ling speed to defend off this this early pressure. But he's definitely going to want to get that queen as soon as possible. He's going to cancel the gas. He must have seen this coming. Yes,
yeah,
he definitely
the Overlord did scout that. And he's also, I mean, ZvZ's put a hatchery down behind this, so this is aimed to do damage, but this is not all in. So we'll have to see if he can do enough damage is the question, though, because you sacrifice a lot. The queen, 7 workers behind at this point. ZvZ has to get damage done.
I mean, is he going to force a cancel here? Stephano's actually going to be pulling drones to come and deflect this. And drones versus lings, it's not the most favorable matchup, but they can potentially hold this off. The lings are going to be forced back for the moment in time.
Ironically enough, drones and Zerglings, without speed or anything, kind of have almost equivalent DPS. Like, they're not too dissimilar units, but Stephano getting a nice surround on these Zerglings will start cleaning this up at a cost of so many workers. 9 workers have been killed at this point, Doom.
Yeah, and he's left with 9 after the fact. 14 drones on the other side of the field for ZvZ. Stephano making a Spore Crawler there for a second. A little bit of an odd choice, but
I think a misclick.
Yeah, definitely a little flustered at this point. That's got to be kind of frustrating to run up into. And if this was a ladder game at some point, you're probably saying to yourself, what the heck? What is this guy doing behind this here?
Well, this is cool because, I mean, this was a big risk for ZvZ because he didn't do 6 Zerglings. He committed about 10 to that. And he got the damage done 100%. We see he even took a worker lead there for a little bit, but now he's got his own counter aggression to deal with. Zerglings on the way, but ZvZ has a queen up, his own Zerglings. I think he'll be okay.
He's definitely going to be able to hold it off. And, I mean, you gotta think, ZvZ did that 10 pool consciously. He thought in his head, I'm going to go for this 10 pool, I'm going to move across the map, and I'm going to try to kill as many drones as humanly possible here. And in that situation, we actually have to be very forward thinking about what he's going to be going for next. Going for gas and getting his drone count up. We look at his larva count, it's very low, making 1 drone at a time, being very conservative here because there are these ling battles going on in the middle of the map, and if one does not go favorably for him, he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is suddenly have 0 Zerglings when your opponent has about 20.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that's kind of interesting about this, just 10 pool aside, the ZvZ matchup itself has not changed in Heart of the Swarm. A lot of the early tech, it's Overlord speed, burrow. I mean, this is not things that really drastically change the early game. So the only real difference in this matchup is kind of where the mid game lays, and that's going to be Muta vs. Muta. I'm calling it right now because what Zerg matchup doesn't involve that. And I mean, ZvZ, I don't know, I think at this point he's going to be a little bit further ahead getting to that point.
Well, he's got a great scout off with this ling in the main. Looking at what Stephano's actually seen. Yeah, what Stephano's actually seen is nothing. I mean, he hasn't gotten into the main. He sees, of course, that the natural's there. He's got his Overlords in a decent position to scout out if any type of count or any type of aggression is going to follow this up. But a Baneling Nest is on the way for ZvZ here. And Stephano, I'm curious to see if he's going to try to move an Overlord in, try to peek at that ramp, see what's going on. But in this situation, Rifkin, I'm feeling very worried for Stephano. Metabolic boost is on the way for ZvZ. He's got a greater economy. I mean, things are just looking really up for him.
Actually, Stephano with some spine collars down at the front here will have no problem deflecting banelings, providing he actually micros the spines.
That's true. But, I mean, going for gases, this is getting a little crazier. 4 gases on the side for ZvZ. That's definitely indicative of potential mutaplay.
This is kind of that situation where they both kind of cooled off, you know, they backed off, said, all right, it's time for the next stage. And it's funny because it used to be, will it be Mutas versus will it be Roach Infester? And now it's kind of unquestionable as it's just Muta. There is no more option of Roach Infester.
Yeah, you were certainly right with that call earlier, Rifkin. 4 gases on the other side for Stephano here. He's trying to get up as soon as he can. But with 16 lings on the way from ZvZ, it looks like he said, okay, Stephano's not coming with anything. I don't need to be too defensive. Let me go put on the aggression. Let me take my 3rd base, you know, at the same time here. Let me see what's going on the field because I feel like I'm really ahead. And I mean, he's definitely in the right in this situation.
Well, one of the most important things that a lot of lower class players, and I mean no disrespect to anybody, will overlook in these situations is the importance of Zerglings. When you've got the Mutalisk versus Mutalisk clash going on, if you guys have even numbers, but one player has Zerglings and the other doesn't, in your head that won't affect anything. Zerglings can attack air, but they soak the glaive hits, and they can change a Muta versus Muta battle so drastically. So I mean, ZvZ having all these Zerglings roaming around the field, giving him A, map control, and B, a better position when they take that fight later on.
Yeah, he certainly looks like he wants to go for some sort of run by in this situation, but Stephano is diligently deflecting this with 3 evolution chambers at the front, canceling the one when when it's basically safe to do so. Spine crawler's now going to move up. He's in a great defensive position, Rifkin, and look at the composition of this map here. These ramps are blocking everything from the left-hand side. This is the only point where ZvZ can move in, and with the melee units of the Lings, he's never going to get past those 2 queens.
Well, really big important thing here too is ZvZ is managing to contain Stephano while he takes his own 3rd. So I mean, he is just economically looking so good in this matchup. Both players, I mean, we've seen it before with Rhett and other players. Like, you need to be able to take that 3rd. It's so important. That gas is vital to your economy. If you want to go with heavy mutaplay, you're going to need a ton of gas for it.
But I'm getting actually a little worried here for ZvZ on the flip side. I mean, he is going to get an Overseer in to scout out that the Spire is going down. But other than that, Rifkin, he has no anti-air. I mean, besides the Queens, of course. He's going to add on a couple of Spore Crawlers at each base. Yeah, and he's going for a big Roach push, it appears.
I'm a little flabbergasted by the choice of ZvZ here. I'm talking up this Mutaplay, but he has in fact gone for Roaches. Now, this is where it's kind of questionable. The Roaches can work, but usually you'll see them as the follow-up to the Muta fight. Like, you'll have the Muta fight go down first, both players pull away with almost nothing, and then one will reinforce with Roaches and kind of walk over the other. But ZvZ just going straight Roach Infester.
Oh, and Banelings.
Oh, and
17 Banelings being morphed.
17 on the way, right outside of Stephano's base. And I mean, these Mutalisks, they're busy elsewhere. They're not looking outside the base right now, Doom.
I mean, they're cleaning up Overlord, sure. This is defense for Stephano.
It's the right move. It's the right move, but oh my god.
But they're moving in.
ZvZ gonna collide with everything here. Queens and Spores and Mutalisks try desperately to focus everything, but the Banelings are making it past. Oh my gosh, they're not gonna get to the natural, but 4 do make it to the main, Doom.
And there's a lot of potential for damage, but the Queen does focus him down. 1 explodes, but does not destroy any drones in the main base. Meanwhile, Roaches have moved in. They are pressuring against those drones, and if he can pick off a couple of drones here, this is going to be great for him. He's on 3 bases.
This is what's great too. The drones are so low. The Banelings didn't cause any kills, but they got everything so low, even at the main.
Yeah, and economically, ZvZ's in a great position here. He's got his Hydralisk down on the way too. He's got that +1/+1 upgrades finished. Infestors on the way.
He's up as many workers as Stephano has lost this game.
Gosh. This is brutal. This is a super aggressive build from ZvZ. He's just saying, I don't care what composition you're going for. I know my build can do a lot of damage, and if I execute correctly, I'm going to win this game. And he's pushing forward, Rifkin.
This is where it's going to get tricky. Spore Crawlers do a ton of damage versus Mutalisks, but they can outrange the positioning of the Spore Crawlers from ZvZ.
This is quite smart from Stephano just to focus down the gas as well. If you can limit the gas intake of your opponent, perhaps you can pull to some type of advantage in the tech, because Stephano himself is going for Hydralisk, but man, ZvZ is just packing it on. Groove Spines on the way, +2/+2 on the way, 9 Hydralisks in production.
Yeah, Hydros will help shred these Mutalisks, but I'm a little shocked. Stephano, I mean, he had a really good lead there, and he can continue. There we go. He's got to come back in and do more harass. Like, he can't have these idle Mutalisks. But the Hydralisk pop just in time to chase them off.
And I mean, this has been largely ineffective for Stephano. He didn't even take that refinery out to the left-hand side, but he is trying to go for his third base in the process.
I thought it went down 28 health. Jesus.
Yeah, and so I mean, ZvZ, he's still even supply with Stephano, but this tech advantage, if he's able to hit this window where his +2/+2 is finished before Stephano's, he'll be in a great position.
I have to say, if ZvZ played this out the same way he is with the Roach Hydra Infestor composition without that 10 pool, I think he would have lost this game. But right now, he's definitely looking in a very good position. I mean, he's ahead on tech, like you said. There's going to be these windows where his engages are just going to beat out Stephano's if he takes a head-on fight, regardless of positioning.
He's going to have infestors. That fungal is going to be able to lock down the mutas, and if the Hydras are able to get on top of the mutas, well, it's as good as the mutas are, Rifkin, they're just going to explode.
Yeah, Mutalisks are kind of like Hydras. They're really effective with their damage, but they're very weak, fragile units.
And that +2/+2 is just about to finish up. Curious to see if ZvZ will move out, and if he can catch a fungal, Rifkin, that will surely trigger an attack.
I think one of the... Oh, he does get 4 of them. Very nice with that fungal.
They're like hiding under the overlords there. Sneaky infestors. 3 Mutalisks will go down. And looking at the units killed here, I mean, Stephano has killed more units in the game, but I feel that's more like ZvZ sacrificing units. They're both going for their fourth bases at this time, but ZvZ's had his third longer. It feels like he's just going to have a better flow going into this this next battle, and he's moving across the map.
Yeah, army composition-wise, oops, need to turn sound back on. Army composition-wise, this is definitely looking heavily in ZvZ's favor, but he's got to worry about these Mutalisks. If he takes everything away from home, he might just get caught in a really bad position. Spores are great, but they can only do so much.
Yeah.
But, oh man, Stephano is about to lose this wannabe 4th base of his.
This is true. He did force a cancel on ZvZ's 4th base, though, so we have to keep that in mind. But the fact alone that in Wings of Liberty, the infestors really tipped the battle in the favor of the the person with more infestors, more fungals available in these big Roach Hydra engagements. I really think that ZvZ's in a much better position than Stephano. Looking at his supply, 182 Stephano's going to get a few more units, but ZvZ's maxed.
I really like where infestors sit now, where they're definitely that support role, but that's not important right now, dude, because we got a huge battle coming down here.
Yep, Roach is in the front, Hydra's
but there's
in the back.
no tanks
exactly
for Stephano. This is the problem, the classic Zerg problem. If you got nothing to tank for you, GG. And I gotta say, much credit to ZvZ here. Not often do we ever see a player in Heart of the Swarm, at least at this stage, this early in Heart of the Swarm, win without going Muta versus Muta. I mean, out of 100 games, 99 of those games will be Mutalisk versus Mutalisk.
It's refreshing, Rifkin.
Yeah, so congratulations, ZvZ, a well-deserved victory.